Hello, welcome to this webinar where I will be talking about suggested timeline and management for thesis writing. For the students who are not planning to write their thesis paper this semester or next semester, perhaps there are some pointers for you to also use it for your other academic writing assignments and papers. So let's begin. So if you are writing your thesis paper, then you should be probably having a thesis question already ready in your mind, or you have already sort of think about it when you are writing your research proposal. Yeah, of course, then maybe you do not have like 100% fixed thesis questions. You might want to change the question here and there a bit perhaps. But however, I would assume that you do have a thesis question. So once you have a thesis question, I would suggest that you set a kind of working hours for yourself. One of the reasons that you have a working hour for your thesis writing is to help you to, manage time, where you have a allotted time of certain day or certain time of the week where you sit down, and this particular working hours you will deal with your thesis writing, be it reading or writing or finding out more resources. Yeah, so it's always good then to have a working hour as you begin your thesis writing paper journey. Of course, then you move down here where you should already have some sort of research proposal. Yeah. Once you have your thesis question and you are going to be searching for a professor and a second professor or a second advisor, it's always good to also have a quick one-page summarize of your ideas. Summarize your research proposal. If your research proposal is between 3 to 5 pages, try and summarize it very quickly into one page, a page that you print out so that when you go and ask the professor if they or he or she would like to be your advisor, they have one page to quickly look at your thesis question, see if they agree to be your advisor. Yeah, so with the summary of your main ideas, then you go and talk to the professor that you think that would be your first professor, and then also use the summary of the main ideas to also look for your second professors. The two of them, once they have agreed, then you can move on to the next step. There are two things then you should do. The first thing would be planning, and the second thing would be finding out when you do need to register. Yeah, you probably need to go to the exam board, or I'm sure you know where to go. If you don't know, your friends may know, find it out. Once you've registered, get all your dates recorded after registration, because you do need to know, when you finish, when is the last day that you need to hand in your paper. So the next thing is to plan. Okay, first, if you think your thesis question has not been finalized, then finalize it before you go for your registration. All right, and of course you did have some kind of plan when you were writing your research proposal. Write it out again. Perhaps your plan has changed a little bit. Perhaps you already found you have found new materials to read. Where can you find more? Perhaps your friends have more things for you to read. They found something that may be relevant to your paper, and so plan again. Yeah, plan and replan where to find things, what to do. Write it all out. Yeah. Draw out a draft of your thesis structure. A thesis structure is very important so that you can see how your paper looks like physically. Visually you can see it. And it's also very good because then when you officially go and meet your professors and advisors for the first time, you have something solid that you can show them. Instead of saying, oh, my plan is like this, and this, or maybe it's like this, and it's all very uncertain and it's just not very good. So when you draw out your thesis structure, your professor, when they first see it, they can advise you properly whether you are heading the right path or not. And once you have that, make sure that you make your first appointment with your professor. Okay, professors are not always free as you demand a time to see them. Sometimes they cannot see you as often as you like. So the first meeting is very important. I am sure the professors would also agree. And in the first meeting, you should bring your thesis structure and your research plan. What are the books you plan to read? And also ask questions. Try to, the day before you go and meet your professor, list down all the questions that you have. One of it would be, what kind of referencing style would they prefer? If they say, oh, anyone you like, then you choose one that you prefer and then stick to that referencing style. So in your first meet with the professor, then you show the plans that you have made. Things may change or not depending on the discussion with the professor. And ask the professor the questions that you have, the worries that you have as well. All right? So when you have registered and you have met your professor, then you begin your writing, the beginning of your writing journey. This is just a suggested timeline, and the timeline has 3 stages: the research stage, the writing stage, and the stage where you need about 2-3 weeks to proofread and edit and proofread again and get someone to help you, and so on and so forth. So now we're just going to look at the research stage. There is a to-do list during this research stage. The first thing, perhaps it's a good advice, whatever you're reading, record your reading. Who is the person? What's the year that this article has been published? What particular page you might be thinking of using? Highlight some of these sentences that you might want to paraphrase. If it's a website, if you manage to print the site out, make sure that you also have 2 dates for websites. One date where it is being published, another date where it's being accessed. Take notes on materials that are useful from sources. Make a lot of notes, because they come in very, very handy. Find out more sources, perhaps one original source, maybe one journal that you've read, then you think, oh, I do really like this journal. Go to the reference list. See what has this author, what else have they read, and if they have written, if they have read 20 more books, go through the books and say, oh, you probably find another book that might interest you, that may go well with your thesis question. On days that you're not reading, and you say, I'm really tired of reading, then work on fine-tuning your writing skills. Yes, everyone needs to fine-tune your writing skills. Learn from your other journals and books, other writers that you've read. What kind of particular vocabulary that they have used? What kind of tenses do they use? How do they express when they want to talk about certain points? Ask yourself this question and learn from them, because you are your own teacher as well at this stage, right? And if you do have friends who's willing to listen to you and to listen to you over ein Kaffee or Kuchen, about your research findings and ideas, and they would in return give you their feedback, that's really good as well, so that you can hear feedbacks from different points of view, perhaps. Yeah. And during this stage, try and see if you can possibly meet your professor. Perhaps you are stuck with your research. Perhaps you are stuck with your reading. You may find that these readings that you have not been very useful and helpful. So this second meet, you can discuss what other things that you need. Show the process of your research to the professor or second advisor. Here, perhaps after reading a lot, your thesis structure might change. You might want to add some other parts in your thesis, or you might want to eliminate some parts. Okay, and again, whenever you're in doubt, get advice. Never assume that I can do it all by myself. Sometimes you just need to get advice. That's why we have professors to advise you on your thesis paper. Now on the second stage, it's the writing stage. And of course, there is also a to-do list. 1, decide what kind of referencing software you would like to use. There are so many referencing software that can help you, for example, EndNote or CTAV, and a few more that I can't think of at the moment. But if you're not into softwares to help you with referencing, you want something very simple, there is a webinar in Academic Writing Moodle that shows you that how Microsoft Word can also help you with some kind of referencing as well. And before you begin your writing, arrange your notes and sources. Get them all in one pile. If you know that some journals are actually pretty much not helpful, put them aside. Don't get them all mixed up with the ones that you are going to use. You want everything to be ready and going. And of course, then you start to write. Here you write your first draft. First draft means this is the first time you're writing it, putting everything, all the contexts, all your ideas, all your argument for the first time into paper. Okay? As you write, then you check your sources, making sure that you include them. Whatever you paraphrase, you need to cite them. Yeah, this is very important, because if you're not, then you might be committing plagiarism. And again, when in doubt, get advice, whether if it's content or writing issues. You know where to find me about if you want help from writing issues. So do not wait until the last minute. People cannot perform miracles. I definitely cannot perform miracles after after an email saying, oh, please check my 60-page bachelor thesis. I need them in 24 hours. I definitely cannot check and change everything. First of all, I cannot change anything for you. I can only advise you to change certain things, so on and so forth. So once you are done with the writing stage, here you stop writing, as in you have actually completed everything. Yeah, and it's the first draft. Give yourself about 2 to 3 weeks if you have spare time. Don't rush and say, okay, I'm done, I'm going to proofread it, and then by next week I want to hand it in. Give this time where you need to edit, you need to read your work and then re-edit. So I have 3 stages here. In stage 1, this is where you proofread your work by yourself, because you know what you have written, you know what are your arguments and what's in your piece of work. Give a rest about 24 to 48 hours after you finish writing, and then start proofreading. Edit the paper wherever you need. And once you're quite satisfied to give it to a friend or to me, you can then begin to write your abstract. And in second stage, you give your second draft Do not give your first draft to your friend or to me, because then, I can't help you when you have some issues with contents and everything. This you should already proofread it. Spelling, grammar, everything should be done by you. In the second draft, friends can help you. I can help you. While they are reading and proofreading your work, this is where you can work on the rest of your paper. Add the table of content. Make sure you got your pages right, which part is the Roman numerals, which part is the Arabic numerals. Yeah. Make sure that your list, reference list, is all adjusted, alphabetical order. If you have other lists, like list of figures or list of abbreviation, get them all arranged nicely. And then create your cover page and a title page. And again, once you're done and you're still waiting for feedback from your friends or from me, proofread your work again. Yeah, you have to proofread at least 5 to 8 times, not just once or twice, because there are times, if you have good writing experiences before, you do know that sometimes you do miss out some words or some ideas. Yeah, initially. So proofreading and re-edit your paper again. Once friends or I have given back some comments, after proofreading your piece of work, do a final proofread and final edit of your final draft. There is a proofreading tip or proofreading checklist in the academic writing Moodle where you can download and use that to help you to enhance your proofreading skills and look at it one last time. Do not try and print your paper on the same day for many other reasons. A lot of things may go wrong. It's always good to either print it 12 to 24 hours before, so that everything is all great, and then finally you have reached your goal by handing in 2 hard copies and a soft copy in a CD format into the I think the examination board. I'm not so sure, but for sure somewhere there. So I hope this sort of suggested timeline and tip is helpful for you. The most important part when you're writing is proofreading. Of course, I'm not saying the research stage and the writing stage, they're not important. They are just as important. The final stage is also very crucial. When you get everything right, you feel very confident in handing in your piece of work and wait for an appointment for your colloquium. So I wish those who are writing their thesis paper all the best. Good luck. And if you really need help, especially in writing issues, please don't be afraid to contact me. You know where I am, my room, my office hours. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.